Hey, I'm back yet again with another video. So, you guys, bear with me. I was just putting some twist in my hair, just trying to get it together for this live. But what's up, family? I hope that everyone's doing swell. And if you have not, make sure that you guys do to my website, joylarkinskincare.com website. Inquire about my sugar scrub and more. And also, you guys can go to my website, livenarcfree.com. You guys can inquire about more. But anyway, you guys, I was thinking about a topic. Actually, someone mentioned this. I want to say it was a couple months back, but of course, we were talking about narcissism in the workplace, and we're still going to continue to keep talking more about that because that is an issue for a lot of folks. But now I actually kind of wanted to go into talking about aggression and how a lot of victims can experience aggression. And also, a lot of former victims of narcissistic abuse can experience a lot of negative self-talk, and they could go into a spiral where they can have certain addictions, overcoming addictions, right? Maybe we'll kind of update that topic or the title. But you guys feel free to share with me like how you guys deal with that or how you guys cope with that. I would love to know. Me personally, when it comes to aggression, I necessarily didn't have aggression per se, but I know for sure, like after dealing with narcissistic abuse, it definitely can cause a lot of anger. A lot of times people definitely find themselves dealing with resentment, a lot of bitterness, and things of that nature. So, that's something to be mindful of and take notes of, or, just to be cognitive of. But yeah, as far as aggression, so when we think about aggression, aggression is basically, a person is just maybe feeling hostile, or they could feel kind of like in a mood. They might feel volatile, right? They might feel a little combative. They might be feeling, like they want to instigate something or start something. You get what I'm saying? So if you're feeling aggressive or aggression, it's normal, hello, the cool fortune player. Hi. Hey guys, Paul in the room. Make sure that you guys give this video a like. You said I'm a fight a man, a man. Right. So yeah, everybody come in the room. But like I said, let me know how do you guys feel when it comes to this topic? Do you guys feel a lot of aggression? Do you feel aggression towards other people? Do you feel aggression towards the narcissist? Do you feel aggression towards your family? I would love to know. You said the ultimate machine, the ultimate overload is here. I was quoting Breaking Dishes by Rihanna. Okay, yeah, that's a song. Right? How does that song go? I haven't heard that song, but yeah, like after, like, let's be honest. Like, if someone gets abused, of course, they're gonna be feeling like they want to take their anger out on somebody, right? They might want to take. Maybe you might want to break something. My thing is if you are going through this, because I know someone, they did admit that, hey, they experience a lot of aggression, they feel aggressive, and stuff like that. Be mindful and take it out in a positive way, because if you're feeling aggressive, that's normal. If you've been abused and you've been mistreated, you've been taken advantage of, I get it, but you just want to make sure that you take your aggression out in a way where it's not going to harm anybody or hurt anybody, just because maybe you haven't dealt with that particular concern that you could be experiencing, right? That could be a challenge for you. My day is going swell. What about yours? Thanks for asking. The cool fortune player. Thank you. But yeah, you guys kind of get what I mean. Like, you want to be very, very careful when it comes to that. But like I said, me personally, I didn't deal with aggression like that per se. I guess the way that if it did happen, I would say maybe I was angry, especially like after going no contact with my auntie in the mail narc, just because I just didn't realize what I was dealing with. And I thought that it was very unfair and it was cruel. You get what I'm saying? And even like at the job situation, I felt that the way that I was treated at the last job that I worked at, that was messed up, you know? It was really messed up. And a lot of damage was done, and it was just kind of like they did not care, you know. And so there was a lot of anger that I felt regarding that. And but like I said, I'm just glad that I was able to take all of that negative energy, all of that toxicity, and I was able to turn it into something that can help other people, because a lot of the times people don't do that, right? A lot of times people will take matters into their own hands, right? They will try to do crazy stuff, like do maybe put a hit out on somebody, or you know, stalk, harass, do all types of crazy stuff, or maybe even try to do magic to the point where that gets them in trouble. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I say it's really important that you have to have control over yourself first and foremost. You know, don't worry about being in control over the narcissist or other people. You want to make sure that you have control over you, because if you don't have negative self-talk and, you know, kind of torturing yourself basically after being mistreated, because a lot of people that have been victimized by a narcissist, they have been taught, whether it if it wasn't by like a romantic partner, maybe it was by a narcissistic parent, like, hey, you'll never be enough, hey, you won't do this, hey, you won't do that. Like they really been talked down on. And I had that happen, you guys. People have talked down on me, even like my own parents, you know, whether they known it consciously or unconsciously. And the beautiful thing about that is that I have been able to, you know, get in control of my mind, where a lot of that times when people say stuff or they do hurtful stuff, I don't care, because it's just like, I mean, only thing that matters is what God says about me, how God feels. Like you have to, that's how you know you're healing, where you get to a point where you just don't care. A lot of times the narcissist will be treat you, or even like in a toxic work environment, like you know how I experienced, the looking at the good points, or you know, or let's say if they were listening to a call, they will point out all the negative stuff. Green Witch, you said, I'm living in a mentally and financially abusive family with suppressed anger. Okay. I'm not allowed to express it. I think I might explode one day. Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm sorry to hear that, Green Witch. I know a lot of people deal with anger, suppressed anger. I think I should start writing poems. Yeah, stories talking about my anger. Yeah, maybe you might want to write a book. Maybe you might want to write poems. Like introverted myself. And a lot of the times, even though I help other people, you know, as far as like mental health coaching, narcissistic abuse coaching, I also do like counseling. And I actually got certified, you guys. I'm gonna have to show you on this community. I'm gonna show you I got certified for social skills, general life skills. And I'm also, you know, I have the experience dealing with narcissistic abuse since 2006, but I recently just got certified. So I'm super stoked, super excited. Yeah, dealing with anger is, it's a challenge, you guys. It is. And it can come out in a way where it's do this inner work now and get a hold of, whether if it's like I said, it's addictions, whether it's inner work you have to do, traumas, you know, and things like that. Do it now, because when you get older, it's going to get worse, you know, and you might end up affecting, hurting people as you get older. Because if you do it now, trust me, you'll be able to heal it, work through it, talk it out or write it out, and then, you know, kind of move past it, make peace with it, accept it, and then move on. You get what I'm saying? But a lot of people that don't do that inner work, people like narcissists or toxic people, they stay stuck. And then that's the way that they behave, their personality is the results of how they did not do that inner work. And you can see how destructive, you know, how that can be. You get what I'm saying? So that's why this stuff is very important, you guys. Take this very serious. This is not a joke. This is not a game. You get what I'm saying? You said, when you blame yourself, please show how to take accountability for our actions. How do we take responsibility for? And you said, you said, I think I should start writing poems. Yeah. So Ambrose, that's a good question. Well, a lot of the times when victims of narcissistic abuse, they experience the abuse, right? They blame themselves for the abuse, right? So they may feel like, oh, well, you know, it was my fault that I got abused. oh, it was my fault that my mother mistreated me, or it was my fault. Some people might be like, oh, it's my fault that I was born, or some people will be like, oh, it was my fault that my parents got divorced. A lot of people blame themselves. Learned behavior, a lot, especially in a young age. A lot of kids learn to take responsibility for their parents' feelings, their parents' emotions, their parents' moods. A lot of people are trained that way. I know I was trained that way. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest. I was trained that way. But luckily, I've been doing the inner healing, the inner work, and I've been learning to not do that anymore. That's how pushovers are created. That's how people pleasers are created, doormats, and things like that. So if you've, oh, and also a codependent. So, someone that's codependent on someone, pretty much for everything, and they become a target for a narcissist or a target for a toxic person. So if you have those things that you need to work through, that's fine, but just make sure that you work through it and that you do something every day that's going to help you to overcome that addiction, or to overcome that sort of behavior pattern, or to overcome the need to behave that way, because it's really not going to benefit you in the long run, and it's only going to cause you harm, damage, and destruction, and self-sabotage, right? You could self-sabotage good relationships, good connections. You might sabotage good opportunities just because, you just, maybe you don't feel worthy, or you might be like, oh, well, I blame myself for for a narcissist abusing me. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of people blame themselves, right? And you could take accountability for recognizing, like, maybe you might have a behavior pattern where you might be attracted to narcissists, or maybe you might be attracted to toxic people, or maybe you're attracted to chaos or drama, just maybe because you could have grew up in a toxic environment, or maybe you worked in a toxic environment, or maybe church was toxic. I know a lot of people have experienced a lot of church hurt. I know I did myself, right? So just kind of recognizing the behavior pattern, and then just doing the best to show yourself compassion, and just try to make better decisions. That's the best way that you can start to take accountability and get yourself an accountability partner. Like, that's why it's really good to reach out for help, to talk to someone about, your concerns or your addictions or your challenges, because you can someone in your corner that will be with you. If you are thinking about making a decision and your intuition is telling you, like, hey, don't do this, don't talk to this person, cut this person off, and you can give that your accountability partner a call and say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Is going to tell you, or your body can also warn you, and keep you away from harmful bad people. I know, like, I think I should narcissist. And when I tell you, every time we would be going to visit his mother, my chest would feel weird, like my chest and my stomach, like your core. It was just, I don't know, it something just felt off. It was just like, don't go, like, stay away, like, and it was every single time, you guys. It did not miss a beat, like. And I never really knew what that was all about. I'm thinking, like, well, what does that mean? That's nothing, but your body will try to protect you from toxic people. Your mind will be like giving you visions and dreams and nudges, like, it can try to protect you away from toxic people. You get what I'm saying? So that's something that you do want to be careful of. But the negative self-talk is a thing that a lot of people deal with. Again, people blame themselves, they torture themselves after narcissistic abuse, and they feel guilty for, going no contact, or the narcissist tries to make their victims feel guilty and things like that. Or they'll try to gaslight, or they'll try to use reverse psychology and things like that. So you just want to be mindful, and like I said, just show yourself compassion. If you got to write things out, like the Green Witch said, write stories, write poems, or maybe you can write a book, or maybe you can write a journal. I know, like, that stuff helps me. Like I said, I'm more of a, like, how I express myself is through written. So that's really good for me. Other folks might be different. If you have not Make sure that you guys do get the books that I've done thus far. You guys can visit my website and you can learn more about that. Also, make sure that you get the latest book where I talked about my experience working in a toxic environment, and how I was able to overcome that. And that can cause a lot of aggression too. Let's say if you worked at a toxic environment, a toxic job for years, and then you're trying to like move on with your life and go to the next job, and but you still have those memories, right? You still may have that trauma. You still may have those thoughts in your mind about you being mistreated by your boss, or you being mistreated by coworkers, and people maybe trying to put a hit out on you, and maybe doing death magic on you and stuff like that, and people just harassing you, gang stalking. Can you imagine how much trauma that can cause a person, and them trying to move on and do another job? That they're gonna have flashbacks, right? And they're gonna have some things that they have to work through. So it's best that you take your repressed anger. We're gonna do another video on this because this is important, you guys, because I would say that anger is really the biggest thing that a lot of people deal with after the abuse. Anger, aggression, negative self-talk, self-sabotaging self-talk, and I've also seen it to where people hurt themselves and they abuse themselves. Even if they've been abused for years and they've gotten away from their abuser, just because they've been around abuse for so long, they begin to do it to themselves, and that really is heartbreaking. So that's why I say don't be afraid to reach out. Get support, get help. It's not weak. Don't feel like, oh, it's weak. It's not. It's strength, because once you realize like, hey, I do need some help with these addictions. That's the first step, because a lot of people have pride and ego. They want to feel like, oh no, I can do this all by myself. No, you can't. You're gonna need some help, so don't be afraid. You know what I mean? And but again, I did want to continue talking about the workplace mistreatment. Like I said, make sure that you get my book, because I do talk a lot about that and how I overcame mistreatment. You guys, nobody likes to be mistreated, and imagine being mistreated in the workplace. Like, that is the worst place. Besides like being mistreated like as a child, or being mistreated in your household, imagine being mistreated in a place where you're trying to just go there, just make a living for you and your family, and then you have to go and be around toxic people that are just childish and just petty and just bitter, and it's sad, and it really makes you not want to work for other people anymore, because you begin to realize that most people that you work for, they don't care about you anyways. You do have some bosses that care, but the majority of them, they do not care about you. And once you come to that conclusion, then that can wake you up and you be like, you know what, forget this, and you begin to do your own thing. But sometimes it takes that for a lot of people to get to that point, because a lot of people are like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna just do this job, blah blah blah. And I'm not bashing jobs, I'm not saying that at all, but a lot of the times these jobs, they're no good. It's the truth. And it's very unfortunate that people behave that way. Like, some people think that behaving that way is normal. Some people think that gossiping and gang stalking and being jealous and competitive and being a mean girl or being a mean guy, they think that that's normal. People grew up in these type of environments. People grew up in people arguing and fussing and fighting every day, all day. They think that that's normal, and it's really really sad the way that the culture has become, the environments where people just trying to go and make a living. You get what I'm saying? And it's really sad. But the beautiful thing about having a relationship with God, you can go to God for peace. You can go to God for comfort. You can go to God for refuge, because literally that's what I had to do, you guys, because there was no other way. There was no other way I would have been able to make that through if it was not for God. Like, I could say that 100%, 1,000%, because the people that I work for, they didn't care about my well-being. And I'm pretty sure they still don't care. And even the people that are still working there, they don't care about them either. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, why work for a company and they can care less about you? Like, well, you're wasting your time. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today, you guys. So let me know what you guys thought on this topic. Are you guys experiencing aggression? Are you guys experiencing a lot of negative self-talk? Do you guys feel like you sabotage yourself? You guys dealing with repressed anger? I know we'll do another video on this because anger is big, y'all. Tell me, is it big? It's big, you guys. This anger thing is no joke. So only thing I can say is you guys is just work on the anger. Do something every day that's gonna help release, like the person said, break dishes, or maybe you might want to go to a shooting range, or maybe you might want to go work out or go for a walk, or have a pillow fight, or have a good scream, or have a good cry, or go to the gym and box. Maybe you might want to get a punching bag, because anger is normal. Like, I don't want you to feel like being angry is bad, but what is bad and what can get you in trouble is when you try to take matters into your own hands, and you try to do something to the narcissist, or maybe you might try to do something to somebody else, and then it causes you to get back karma. You get what I'm saying? So you don't want it to get to that point. You get me? But yeah, so hopefully that made sense when it comes to dealing with aggression. I would just say just work on it. Just work on it. And try to motivate yourself, try to watch videos, try to read books, have like with the positive self-talk. You have to combat those thoughts, because a lot of the times if you've been abused, you have a lot of negative thoughts, you have a lot of negative programming, you've probably been put down, right? You've probably been belittled, you've probably been taught like all this negative stuff, people probably talk down on you, to try to make you feel bad, to try to bring themselves up. You have a lot of people that do things like that, unfortunately. They do a lot of projecting, and you want to get around the right people. I'm telling you, you guys, the people that you are around can really determine like how your life is going to turn out. You have to have the right people around, because negative people can have a negative impact, positive people can have a positive impact, right? So anyway, I love you guys so much. Make sure that you do give this video a like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye, guys.